Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nintendo Fanboyz. And I'm here with Steven,
Hello, guys.
and we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. Steven was supposed to put this together, so hopefully he's got an amazing show lined up for you. I know
I
that
do.
we're going
I
to
do.
I know we're going to talk about some pretty cool stuff, but first, as always, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been doing a lot of things lately. It's mostly playing games when I have a minute or two. I'm glad the World Series is finally over because I've been going to bed at ridiculous times because of it lately, and it's starting to catch up to me. So that's over. Congrats to the Houston Astros. You were almost there eventually a few weeks ago. You would have probably enjoyed that. And that's it. Now I'm playing my Switch. I beat Metroid Samus Returns a few days ago just because I wanted to get that game off so I could finally move on and know that I did that so that I can talk about it in our Game of the Year show, which is coming up. I've also downloaded the Mummy Remastered,
Demastered.
Demastered, sorry, which I haven't played as much as I wanted to because it sounds like a spiritual successor to Aliens Infestations,
Yep, and it
and it
is.
plays just like it, and it's awesome. But I know I'll get back to it. I haven't had much time to play it, unfortunately. Maybe 30 minutes, not even, if that. So that sucks, but I will get back to that one. And I think in the last Fanboys we did, I said that I was 15 hours into Stardew Valley. I'm now over 50 hours into that game, and I keep playing more of it. I just can't stop playing. That game was made for me, and you're a fool for not playing that, Jarrod.
I am. I know many people who would agree with you with that statement. So that's
How
it.
about you?
Oh, well, let's
I
see here.
purposely let one game off
Yeah,
the
of
list, of
course, of
course.
course. Okay, so I'm trying to remember the last time we spoke where I was at. Do you remember what I was playing?
Yes,
Which
and
was?
no. Ignore that, guys. It
Yeah,
was
yeah. Don't worry about
probably
it.
Golf Story and
I don't remember. Anyways, I finished off Golf Story. If I didn't mention that last time, and I finished that on the plane. I actually just posted a couple of days ago. Actually, I posted a few pictures on Twitter. I actually really like that feature of the Switch that you can take just a really quick screen grab and then post them to Twitter and put a silly comment or something like that. I've been really enjoying that. I did the same thing with Zelda. I posted like a bajillion pictures as I played through the game. So after that, I captured some Stardew Valley footage for your podcast, that your lost episode there, and I haven't played. I just haven't played because unfortunately, what ended up happening, as is usual, um, there was just too much all at once. And let's not forget that I still have Dragon Quest 10, 11 that I really want to finish, but the problem now, and this I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was the fact that there's a lot of different things that have hit at the exact same time that I've been waiting a long time for. And those were Sign Mora EX. I finally got my copy of that, arrived just I think before I left for Texas or just after or whatever. And that's a really quick game. You can beat the whole game in an hour. It's a shoot 'em up game, which for you, Steven, you should check that out. Really, wait till it's on sale there and check it out. A fantastic shooter. I really like it. It's not like balls to the wall hard. It's got a really cool gameplay mechanic where you can press I forget what the hell Nintendo calls it, RZ or whatever the hell it is. Basically R2. And you can slow down time in order to like zigzag through bullets, although it's based on a particular meter. And the game's not easy, but it's not crazy hard either. And it's just a really good story focused and mature shoot 'em up. So it deals with like, geopolitics and things like that. Like a very, very, very good game. I actually have a review for that coming out. I've written the script for Golf Story, Sign Mora EX, and Metroid Returns. So you can look out for those. I think tomorrow I'm going to work on all three of those reviews to get them up for the following week. But I really got to play more Dragon Quest XI because the problem is it's in Japanese, and the longer I stay away from the game, the harder it's going to be for me to get back into it. And I really want to finish it because I said I would. And so far, I'm doing terrible with Let's Plays. Well, that's not true, actually. What am I saying? On YouTube, the Let's Play of Dragon Quest X has gone on forever. But I really want to finish Dragon Quest XI because I wanted to start over the holiday period. I wanted to start doing some Let's Plays of just some of my favorite Super Nintendo games, particularly A Link to the Past. But anyways, because of you, I downloaded Stardew Valley and I downloaded The Mummy Demastered. And The Mummy, I actually played now an hour and something, I want to say. I don't know. I'd have to check. I'd have to check the log. But does it still take 10 days for it to register how long you see, that's stupid, but whatever. So I don't know. I don't know how long I've played, but I'm fairly confident it's over an hour I've played now. And I haven't died yet, but I think I'm about to because I'm right at the first boss and I have 22 health. And I'm sure I'm about to die.
I heard the game is extremely hard. That's what I heard from
So
from some
far,
people.
so far, what the difficulty for me has been that enemies don't stop coming. So unlike Metroid, where you'll go into, or even Castlevania, where you'll go into, well, for the most part, where you'll go into an area and you'll take out the bad guys. That's it. Here you'll have zombies that just keep coming. They just don't stop. They'll just keep coming one after another after another. Those guys are pretty easy. It's the birds that give me some trouble because you don't always see them coming in and they can spit this poison at you. So I get hit constantly. I'm always getting hit. And health is very hard to come by. Enemies just randomly drop different things. So even if you're your second gun, your machine gun or whatever it is that you get, your upgrade, even if that thing is maximum, you'll often get ammunition for it instead of health. So I just saved, and the little NPC that talks to you, he's like, now would be a very good time to save. So I just did, and I'm fairly certain I'm at the first boss, and I'm also fairly certain I will die. So it'll be interesting to see how I go and get all of my power-ups, and I'm curious because that's the way this works, where you go and you have to defeat the zombie version of you to get your power-ups. But I'm curious because if you die at a boss, do you have to fight the zombie version of you?
I heard about this. You have to first fight the zombie version of you and then fight the boss without having the option to recover your health. So it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a feeling that I'm going to be dying 50 trillion times.
Because it's different from Aliens. Because in Aliens, what you would do is you would recruit people.
Yeah.
And when you would die, it was permadeath, but the next one would just start over, and I don't believe you lost your weapons and stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember. But anyways, whatever. So far, though, the game has been great and it's gorgeous, and I love the audio as well. And for Stardew Valley, I could see myself really getting into this too. It has an Animal Crossing sort of feel mixed with what is that? Harvest Moon. I wish though that could I go and visit your farm and then that would be it. Then I would play 800 hours or something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that I do too. That why when Animal Crossing is released, I can't. No, Liz will hate me. I will always be in that, especially if you like you did with New Leaf. If you build your own town and whatnot. Oh my God, that's going to be something.
Oh yes, I can't wait. And honestly, I can't wait because it's going to be a blast because they every time they're adding, more and more social features to it. So I'm looking forward to it. The only problem now is that they're just releasing I forget what it's called, but the one on the cell phones and
Pocket Camp.
Yeah, and so far, to be really honest, I know nothing of the game, but I have not been that impressed with the games that they've released so far. They've been okay, but nothing
the general reception to Pocket Camp has been extremely positive, but I'm really not hyping myself because I was really hyped for Fire Emblem Heroes, and then I downloaded that game and played it like once or twice and never went back. It just for me, the microtransaction aspect and the micro like level aspect of Fire Emblem didn't do it for me. And Animal Crossing looks like it's going to be a bit more polished, but I still I won't like fully commit to it right now, and I'll download it for sure when it's released like in a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't expect it to hold my interest for very long.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much exactly how I feel. And I'm just wondering how things are going to move forward. Like, and maybe, like, I'm thinking while I'm talking. That's why my English is coming out all ridiculous. But it's because, like, I was hyped for Fire Emblem as well. And I still dabble, believe it or not. Like, if there's nothing on, I'll go like 2 months without even turning the app on, but every now and then I'll re-sign in, and they give you like 50 orbs or something like that. So I've never spent $1 on that game, and I'll download like the heroes. I'll play one map, and then I'll close it off.
I would have no problem like spending a few dollars in Animal Crossing if the game is really good.
Oh yeah, no.
The same was true with Fire Emblem. I just never really got it. Never hooked me for some reason.
Exactly. For me, the thing with Fire Emblem was it was just too small. Like, I didn't like the fact that it was like a single screen, like 4-on-4 type of thing. I didn't really like that aspect at all. I was like, no, I want like a story driven. I want a real Fire Emblem.
The story was the biggest complaint for me. Like, I had no investment in those characters, which is probably the same. It's also true for Fire Emblem Echoes.
Yeah.
The 3DS remake, which I only played for 10 hours and stopped because I wasn't invested in the characters, and there was other reasons too for that game. But if Fire Emblem, if the story doesn't captivate me like it did in Awakening and Fates, like I won't bother with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I
That's why I have not much interest in Warriors for some reason, even though I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, well, I have Warriors right here that I was given. I haven't even turned the damn thing on. This year, it's funny, man. Like, I'll share it at the very end when we do a podcast that's not the game of the year. Like, when it's another one, I'm going to share my release list. Unfortunately, what I didn't think of doing, and I'll do it next year, is I only put like the mainstay physical releases that I was thinking of. Like, I wanted to add Golf Story and stuff, and I might, because I don't recall if I downloaded many games throughout the rest of the year. But I think you'll get a kick out of what I actually purchased and played over the last year, because now it's getting less and less. Every year it's getting less and less and less. So eventually we're going to get to the point where it's like, 9 games or something stupid like that. But anyways, so going back to Stardew Valley. So I would like, I would. It has a really good charm to it. I really like to play that. Oh, I never finished with Animal Crossing thing. So with Animal Crossing, we'll see. I'll do the same thing. I'll download it, but I'm not expecting much. And I want to make sure, and I know it's different teams. It's just I want to make sure that we do get like a legitimate Animal Crossing on, say, Switch. Like, I really hope that is in development.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. Like,
I hope.
Like, it's going to probably be the continuation of the Wii U version, because there was clearly a Wii U version being made and they decided not to bother. And that was a good decision.
Yep.
So I imagine that game will be well polished and will be hopefully have a lot of new features. Like, I really hope they implement farming to Animal Crossing. Like, that would be awesome. And
yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I don't know what else I would want. Maybe some more, because the online features of that game are really solid. Like, the fact that I can go to your town and do whatever I want there. Like, it's a huge risk for you when I go there. I could literally cut every last one of your trees, and that would be it. You'd have no money for a few weeks. I could do that.
Of course.
And
then I would cry.
It's funny because I remember that I went to your town once, and there was this orange tulip of something. It was a flower that I had never seen anywhere, that I still to this day only have one in my town, and it's because I stole it from you. And I remember, I think you were suspicious at one point. You were like, wasn't there a flower here? I was like, no, of course not.
Of course
But
not. You
it's
thief.
just fun. How many times did we go together, see Captain going to those stupid little kids game, but we had a blast. Like, it's just crazy how much fun we had with that game. Like, I don't think we'll ever be able to. It's like the Gears of War moment. I don't
I
think we'll
know.
ever be able to rematch that.
Well, never say never. You never know. You never know what the future holds. But I'm looking forward to that, and that's something that I want to talk about a little bit later on in the podcast. Is about actually like what is coming for the Switch, because we don't really know anything. But anyways, before, just to wrap up all of this, so yeah, and then there's one other big game that I'm playing that kind of has stolen the thunder of everything else. So I'm a little concerned that like I'm gonna just focus all my attention on this other game. So yeah. So anyways, so take it away, sir.
Okay, so I'm guessing you have a few news stories you want to talk about before we talk
Sure.
about that particular game and then our top 10 something?
Yep. Okay. So basically, the big news. Well, the big news. There was some Pokemon news that was released that I don't want to tell you about because I don't know if you want to go in completely fresh or not.
I,
But
I, I I saw the trailers.
was it in a trailer? Because I just noticed it this morning.
In yeah, they were probably like a press release or it was something, but there was a trailer released around 10 a.m. this morning. That was it was hyped for a few weeks, for a week and a half. Pokemon Company said to expect something at this specific time. That's why I sent you a text this morning that I don't know if you received because you never respond.
No, I don't know. Okay, well, anyways, all right, never mind then. So I will move along to the big news that I had, which was sales. And why this is big news is I like the way Nintendo, talks about their sales more so than a lot of other people because they're really not shy. Like they'll tell you, you know what, guys, like the Virtual Boy sold 500,000 copies in its lifetime. Oh my God, that was terrible. You know what I mean? Like type of thing. So they don't really hold back too much. So
Yeah, they're really honest, and when something doesn't make match their sales expectations, they will clearly say it.
yeah,
They won't PR it, which is one of the few things that I really enjoy about Nintendo's PR strategy. Like you said, they just say it like it is. Of course, they'll try to spin it sometimes, like with how much the Switch is successful, which I want to talk a bit more when you probably mention the sales figures.
hmm
But they give you the numbers and that's it.
yeah, exactly. So they were very very honest. Like Super Mario Run, I think is what they called it. So not excuse me. Let me rephrase this. It has been downloaded 200 million times, yet it's still not at the profitable levels that they're expecting. However, Fire Emblem is getting there. So I found that very very interesting. That 200 million people download your app, but that just goes to show that they're not buying the game because Super Mario Run was like a one-time unlock. So you paid like I don't remember what it was, $10, $20, whatever, and you got the full game. So I thought that was really really interesting. But in terms of like the stuff that we all care about here, I'll start with the hardware sales, and then Steven, you can jump in with whatever it is you want to say. So they basically are saying that shipments. The wording here from I think I got it from IGN. The wording was bizarre because Nintendo usually doesn't do this. So I don't know if this was IGN that just took the wording or like they did their own thing. I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, it said that shipments of the 3DS are nearing 70 million. So that's bizarre because normally with Nintendo they would say, the 3DS is at 68.9 million sold or something like that. But let's just say it's at 70 million. Wii U is at 13.56 million and the Switch is at 7.63 million and is projected to overtake the Wii U's lifetime sales by next year. Where's your comment?
Okay, so the comment is that they also released the number specifically for North America, which is 2 million. And 2 million in what? it was released in March,
March. Yeah.
so that's like 8 months. That's not a lot of units. I'm sorry. It's not. I know people are gonna say there's no holiday season in there, and Nintendo had a lot of shipment issues, and those are all true. But those are Nintendo's problems. They're not your problem. And 2 million units in that amount of time, for me, is not impressive. And I know that they will have a lot more during this holiday season, so probably this number will go way up. But still, I think like the sales success of the Switch, as far as hardware has been concerned, has been a bit overblown, at least in North America.
Yeah, I think that's fair too. And I think people aren't really looking at the rest of the world. Like in Japan, man, the sales are doing phenomenal. The Switch is like really, really doing well in Japan, especially right now. It's funny that you mentioned 2 million, because the other piece of information that we got is that the Super NES Classic actually sold 2 million so far. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And let's see. I've got notes that are all over the place here, so sorry. I did a bunch of stuff. I said about the Switch overtaking. We also got some news on sales figures for Switch games. Zelda is the number one selling. These are all Nintendo, by the way, like first-party games. Zelda's at 4.7 million. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is at 4.4 million. Splatoon 2 is at 3.6 million. 1-2 Switch is at 1.37 million, and ARMS is at 1.35 million. Now that's not bad when you look at the user base of 7.63 million. That's pretty good, especially for 1-2 Switch and ARMS. ARMS being what, at least on its surface, it appears to be a really simplistic game, the motion control game, and 1-2 Switch being a motion control game. I was rather surprised by those figures, only because, you know, like all of us guys are like, the motion controls, like, oh damn it, blah blah, and all that. But that's not so bad, really, all things considered.
Yeah, and this is interesting because it seems to point out that Mario Kart 8 lifetime sales will be higher than Breath of the Wild on Switch.
Yes,
because like it's been released almost 2 months after, and it's still at pace. And if you go to the eShop, it's always outselling Zelda there. So I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be a huge success. And also they announced that Mario Odyssey sold 2 million units already.
Yes, and you ruined my mojo. I was saving that for the last, damn you. But yeah, exactly. Not only did it sell 2 million, this is something interesting, specifically because you're talking, you mentioned about the 2 million Switch sales in North America. Well, in the press release, they specifically singled out North America, saying that Super Mario Odyssey is now the fastest selling Super Mario in history in North America. So I thought that was very, very, very interesting. And speaking of sales, you want me to go through the eShop stuff?
Go ahead.
All right, so I wrote a list down here of the top 15 selling games according to what's online at the eShop as of the time of this recording, which is just a few days before we post the podcast. So number 1 is Super Mario Odyssey, which I don't think surprises anybody. Number 2 is the game that just won't stop selling, which is Stardew Valley. Number 3 is Fire Emblem Warriors. Number 4 is Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, although with this one I have to make mention that it was on sale, it was 22% off, so I don't expect it to be there the next time we do this story. Number 5 is Golf Story. Number 6 is Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which again, or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or whatever the hell it's called. Now, that's number 6. Just remember that, okay? And you'll see why in a sec. All right, number 7 is Sonic Mania. 8 is Snake Pass. 9 is Minecraft. 10 is Overcooked. 11 is something called the Jackbox Party Pack 4, which apparently is better than number 12, which is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So that's interesting that number 6 was Mario Kart and number 12 is Zelda. I think you're right. I mean, that's a significant difference. Number 13 is The Flame and the Flood. Number 14 is Snipper Clips. And number 15 is the game we were talking about earlier, The Mummy Demastered.
Oh, I'm really glad to see that because I was looking in it. It's the first time it's charted. Also wanted to mention that since you said that Shovel Knight was on special, so was Snake Pass. That's
Oh,
why
okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
it's on there because I actually downloaded that game. I haven't played it yet, but I will eventually because it's apparently a really, really good game and it's 50% off on the eShop right now.
Okay.
So you should get it. Like apparently it's really, really well worth that price.
Okay, I didn't know that, so thank you for that. That's good stuff. But yeah, so I was talking with you like offline here for those of you listening, and Steve and I were just talking about potentially doing this from here on out. Every time that we do a Nintendo Fanboys, we're going to update this because we pretty much do one a month. If we're doing one, like if we alternate between Canadian gamers and Fanboys, it'll give us an interesting look to see, where things are. And so far, I've been rather surprised with Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is doing really, really well, all things considered. Sorry?
I can't wait for the company who does Stardew Valley, which was done by one guy, by the way, the entire game. I want to know how many copies is he selling on Switch right now because that game has been charting. It was on number one until Mario dethroned it. It's always been like in the top 5, so it must be pretty high on the list.
Yeah, I would exactly, and I think once the sales are done with Shovel Knight and with Snake Pass, we should see a little bit of shifting, and I'm pretty sure Golf Story is going to move back up to number 4. And I'm curious to see the longevity of Fire Emblem. Like, I really wonder. I haven't even tried it. Buddy of mine thought it was terrible, but he's also an idiot, and he thought it was a legitimate Fire Emblem. Like, he thought it was like, move your troops around and stuff like that. I'm like, you're an idiot. But anyways, and I'm really curious about the Mummy. I really hope the Mummy can climb up a couple of spots because from what I've played so far, fantastic game, and I really hope it does well. And I like Way Forward, so I hope they can...
I really doubt it will do much better than what it is, but I think that if it charts for a while, I think that's all that they can hope for. I'm curious what their expectations, what it cost them to get the license, because this is based off the... What's his name?
The Tom Cruise
movie. Tom Cruise Mummy movie, which apparently is one of the worst movies ever made. So I don't know if that license does the game any favors, but anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not, when I say move up the charts here, I'm not expecting it to go, like crack the top 10 or anything. But like, if it can stay around 10 to 15, like if it can stay in there, then yeah, I think that would be very, very good for the guys. And they're a good company, like with the Shantae games, and I like Way Forward. They're good group of guys. Okay, so what do we do first? Do we talk about the game?
Yeah, let's talk about the game.
Go for it.
Of course.
Come on.
Super Mario Odyssey. What a surprise.
Yeah, so come on. What did you think? How is it? Terrible game?
I want to first mention that the audio portion from my end should not be as good as it used to be, and I apologize for that. I ordered a USB cable for my mic, and I think it will be a bit better than last week or 2 weeks ago. And I listened to that podcast, and it wasn't that bad. It's just not as good as it used to be. So I'm going to be working on that. Hopefully, I'll have it fixed for next time. And I also want to mention that I've never been a huge fan of 3D Marios. So I wasn't as hyped for Mario Odyssey as Jarrod and everybody else was because I never enjoyed 3D platforming that much. I don't know why. I don't like having to touch the camera when I play these games, and I don't like exploration as much as I do just platforming because I'm the type of guy, I'm OCD. I'm not that OCD, but I don't like it when games aren't linear. That's why I used to not like open world game, because I always need to go through every corridor and every corner and see everything, and it really makes the game like Mario struggle with its pacing a bit for me, because instead of just going to that place that you see that it's exciting, I have to go and make sure I'm not missing anything. And that's why I'm not a big fan of 3D Marios, but this one so far I've played maybe 3 hours and I'm having fun with it. And I'm playing it in a way that I'm not gonna make the game terrible for me. So I'm told myself I'll play a world and I'll find everything I can in that world until I'm tired of it, and I'll move on to the next world. And if it's a world I don't enjoy, I won't even bother with the with finding everything. Like I just did this underwater level and I hated it, so I just finished it. I got the minimum number of moons I needed to get out of there, and I went out of there. And if after beating the game I still feel the need to play and go find everything, then I'll do it. And that's all. That's all. If I don't, I don't. I decided to go that way because I know myself, and that's one of the reasons why I never finished any of the Galaxy games. Mario 64, I can't even play for more than 50 minutes. I don't like that game. I don't know why. It's one of the best games of all time. Many people love it. I just don't for some reason. And Mario Sunshine is the only one that I ever completed, and that one I actually 100%ed. So I'm weird like that, but Mario Odyssey so far, uh, really, really enjoying it. It's really addictive. Like, it's funny because one of the features I like the most is the fact that you can buy clothes. Like, you
Yep.
can use the actual coins that you find, either the special coins from each level or the normal coins, and you can buy clothes. And it's stupid because the clothes, for the most part, don't do anything. But it's still fun. It's still a nice little feature, because in past Mario games, all those coins were useless. In this one, they aren't. So it gives you extra motivation to go get them. So I really, really like that. I really need a dock though, because for those that have been listening to Fanboys and Gamers, know that I have a son, and my son actually likes to spill water and yogurt on everywhere. And there was water spills in my dock that I noticed at one point, and I removed it, and then it stayed in storage for like 6 months. And I tried the dock, and it's not working anymore. And I ordered the screwdriver. Hopefully, I'll be able to fix it, but I really doubt it. So I'm gonna have to spend like $120 to get a new one, because I really want to play this game on the TV, because it looks huge, it looks wonderful, it looks like a game that's made to be played on the TV. And I also showed it to Elizabeth for a while, and she's now hooked to that game too. So it would be fun if we could actually play together and watch each other play. So I need to play it on the TV eventually. I think the game will probably be even better there. So that's my 2 cents right now for Mario Odyssey.
Well, for me, it's interesting, and I'll touch more upon this when we talk about our next subject there, or our next topic. But Galaxy was a really good series. It really was. But I really, towards the end there of the Wii's life, I was really, really not feeling the system anymore for whatever reason. One reason or another, I just really was not. I was like, I found so many of the motion controls felt just tacked on, like Donkey Kong Country Returns, right? I didn't like the fact that you absolutely had to. I forget what. I don't remember the controls exactly, but you had no choice but to like do some motion in order to trigger certain
You
moves.
did not, actually.
Yeah, there was for sure.
No, I played that game on the Wii with the Pro controller, or the controller, and I know what you're talking about. But I get your point. I too, it's hidden. It wasn't advertised that you could actually
Oh, well, I didn't
play
know
it with a
that.
regular. Yeah, that's why, because at the time, my girlfriend at the time was playing it with the motion controls, and I was like, well, I can't do this. So I plugged the controller in it, and I could play it with that. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
I
Okay.
get what you're saying.
But yeah, so like I didn't even know that. But like that's the sort of stuff where I was just like, this is annoying, like this is truly annoying. And with Mario it was a little bit different because it was more like with a pointer and stuff like that. But even then, you'll see in just a bit that I just it didn't resonate with me for whatever reason. Like even with people when they talk about Metroid Prime, I have the Metroid Prime trilogy or whatever the hell it's called for the Wii, and I'll be completely honest with you, I did not enjoy it as much as seemingly the whole planet. I preferred using the GameCube controller to move around, and you know what? That's just me, and that's fine. But it had nothing to do with 3D. But why I mention this is because I did not get into those games as much as, like I said, seemingly the whole planet did. 3D Land, though, was that hybrid one that I adored. I absolutely adored that. And both of us, we were chatting at the time a lot about that, and that was a phenomenal game. And what's interesting is that when they released 3D World, I didn't get into that one as much as 3D Land. But, so in other words, I haven't really played a full 3D like Mario that I really truly got into in quite a long time, but I have a feeling that this will be the exception, because there's something about this that I don't know, that I'm really enjoying, and it really it's different. This is what I was telling you. Like it does a lot of things exactly like what you expect. I mean, it's Mario, so it's exactly what you expect. However, it's almost like Super Mario 64 if Super Mario 64 was one giant open world. And this isn't. This is a bunch of different levels that are all connected that you have to fly to and stuff like that. It's just that unlike Super Mario 64, where you would select a star and that star would change the level in some way, shape, or form, and then you would, you get spit out of the painting and then jump back in and select another star, and then the world would change a little bit again. Here, it's like, imagine if all the stars were available and you could just go straight. And there are moons in this one. And there's literally probably, I don't know if someone has like the final count, but there has to be near 1,000. Like, it's unbelievable. In some of the levels that I've gone into, there's like near 40 in one level, where it's just like, holy crap. And part of me is sort of like, is sort of like, well, is it too much? You know what I mean? Like, I was worried that I was going to get the Steven. And if you don't know what that is, that's in the that's where he used to get overwhelmed with open world games, where it'd be just like too much stuff to do at one time. And that's where I'm at right now. I don't feel it. Like, so far I'm good. Everything's fine. But I'm just concerned, like, will I get that feeling?
Are you doing everything in a level before moving on right now?
No, not really. So, like, I got all the way to the level that you're talking about, and then I went back to the very, very first level, the Cap Town or whatever the hell it's called, and I recorded the footage of that because I was like, for this podcast, it'd be kind of cool to have some Mario footage. So I went and started to explore, and I was like, wow. And you can see it in like the gameplay. You'll see that I get a little bit like I'm getting bored, so I go back to the ship and I switch to another level. The one level where I'm like, oof, I don't know if I'll be able to play it, is going to be the desert area, just because there's something, I don't remember the number of moons available, but it's insane. Like it's unbelievable.
I also found that level like not enjoyable as much. Like the first one I really loved. And the desert level is because there was too much empty area, I found.
Yeah, exactly. That's almost like what. Yeah, that's very, very good. And I played a little bit of the water one. The water one was okay. It wasn't like wasn't amazing or anything. But like I said, right now I'm not. I don't feel that I'm overwhelmed, or I do not at all. It's just that I'm wondering, as I get further along into the game, if I'm going to go back and be like, whoa, man, there's 60 something stars here, moons here, screw it, type of thing. Did you talk to the little parrot?
Yeah, I talked to him a few times. I do not really understand what he's saying, because it seems like he's not really giving you good clues.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So basically, you get what amounts to one line for the clue. That's it. That's all you're given. Because he says some BS in the beginning that has nothing to do. It's like the same. And then he ends with the same BS. So you're essentially given like one sentence that gives you an idea of where the or what you have to do to get the moon, which, to be fair, if we go back to like Super Mario 64, some of those clues that they gave you too were just awful. Like, you were just like, what? Where it's like, shoot to the moon. You're like, okay, and how do I do that? So the emphasis here really is on exploration, big time on exploration. So this is going to be really interesting to see how the two of us sort of move forward with this particular game. I'm really curious to see if our opinions stay, more or less the same, or if one of us is like, this is the greatest game since sliced bread, and the other one's like, this is terrible. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait, because like, if the reviews are out and everybody's saying that it's the best game ever, and for me, like, so far it's really fun. But it hasn't stopped me from putting another 5 hours into Stardew Valley. Like, it hasn't put me away from Stardew Valley yet. So it feels like a game that will gradually sink into, and maybe eventually I will be hooked to it to a point where every time I'll have a second, I'll play it. Because I keep hearing that the pacing is very good for the game, and that eventually, like, there's some awesome stuff, awesome sets that you'll find. And I can't wait for that. But it's just, I have been disappointed with 2 of the levels so far. So... but still, I've been like, if I keep using the strategy that I'm using, which is move on if you're not having fun, and go back eventually if you feel like it, then I won't have a problem with this, because I'm done trying to justify 100%ing every game just for the heck of it. Like with Metroid Samus Returns, like, I didn't even bother doing, which would have probably taken me an hour max, because it's, once you unlock everything, it's not complicated to figure out. But I just didn't bother.
Yeah.
Why bother when you're not having as much fun as you could be playing another game?
Exactly. And I think when my review goes up, I think a lot of people are going to just disagree with everything that I've said, because that's pretty much my general consensus with Metroid, is that it's a good game, but if it was anything else, I don't think people would even be talking about it. Just because, like, it's fun, but it's not, like, it's a disappointing Metroid game. But that's, I think, a lot to do with the fact that they remade Metroid 2, which itself was a disappointing Metroid game. So
I just, like with Metroid, like I've told you this I was gonna say off camera, but
yeah.
If Metroid would have been around like every few years, like, this game would not have been well received. It's just the fact that we haven't had a Metroid in, like, since Zero Mission. That's why a lot of people went a bit crazy with the scores and the reviews of that game, because we've been missing Metroid so much. But the reality is, this is a bad Metroid game, but even a bad Metroid game is still a good game.
Yeah, and that's extremely well said, and I think that's very, very true. And with this, going back with Mario there, I think it's going to be interesting. But I've been having a lot of fun, and I think that's the most important thing. So long as I continue to have fun, I am not going to 100% this unless I get really into it. But I like what you said about the items, like the clothes and stuff like that.
I've been addicted to that.
Yeah, me too.
I keep changing outfits.
Exactly. So long as that keeps going, you do have an incentive to try and find, the different coins and stuff like that. But I got to go back to the desert world and really, really explore a little bit, because I'm perplexed. Like, there's 100 coins you can get there. I have something like 20. I'm like, well, where the hell is the bulk of the stage? Like, clearly I'm missing something.
You do know that after the post game, much of the levels, even more stuff unlocks, right?
Yeah.
So
wait, hold on. This is the thing. I know what you're going to say. But Ahmed has so far gone through all the levels and gotten 100%.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm wondering...
Okay, so maybe the moons and the coins, they unlock even more.
Exactly.
So okay. Well, that means I suck then.
Well, that means I suck too. Because he said, in particular, that he did all of the ones that you can get in the desert. And I was like, what? Because that's the one that's insane. That's the one that has like 47 or 60 or something like that moons available. I was like, holy crap, man. So, anyways, we'll see. He might comment on here, and maybe I misunderstood him or something. But yeah, that's what he had said when he texted me. So, anyway, that's that. So, move on.
All right, you ready to do our top 10 Mario list?
Sure, this is going to be beautiful.
So I'm just going to quickly say we're going to do a top 10 favorite Mario games, and we're only included like platformers, so the main series game. They can be 2D or 3D. We're just not going to talk about Mario Maker or Mario Tennis or
Any of
Mario
that
Paint.
Damn it, that was my number one.
So I'm gonna let you start with number 10, and then I'm gonna give you my 10 and 9, and we'll
We'll go like that. Okay, sure. So just number 10 for me is Super Mario Galaxy, and this is what I was telling you guys that I was going to explain a little bit and further. I really wanted Nintendo to come out super strong with the Wii. I really did, and to a lot of you guys, they did come out super strong. But to me, I thought Wii Sports was fun there for a bit, but then after that, I really started to be like, well, this just feels gimmicky. Like, it doesn't feel like it's really adding anything. Super Mario Galaxy came out. I had fun with it, but in relation to all the other games we're going to talk about and my memories associated with those games, it is where it is.
Our lists are going to be so different.
Oh, I'm
This is
sure.
crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I know the number one will be the same, but that's about it. For me, number 10, I have Super Mario Land. And this is funny because Super Mario Land 2 is not even on the list, but I prefer the original. And people will think I'm crazy for that because it's a 4-level game, but I really enjoyed Super Mario Land back in the days. And even when I bought my 3DS like 6 or 7 years ago, and the eShop was one of the first games on the eShop was Super Mario Land, and I put like 3 hours into that game again. I just love portable Mario, and this one is so simple, but it mimics the original Mario Brothers game, and I thought it was just a perfect Game Boy game. And I still to this day can complete it and love it and have fun and move on. Okay, my number 9 is New Super Mario Brothers, and the reason for that is that this came out on the DS at a time where the last true 2D Mario game was Super Mario World. Some people might consider Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island to be a Mario game. I do not, but that's fair game if you put it on the list. But that's like how many years?
Long time, man.
Yeah, so we did not get a 2D game, I'm going to say for like 15 years of Mario. And to be honest, New Super Mario Brothers on the DS, compared to the original Mario Brothers, it's not that good of a game. It's not like the difficulty is not there at all for starters. But I had a blast playing it, and I 100% it, and I just was happy all the way through it, and I never felt bored, and I just really enjoyed that game. And it's funny because it came out a month or two after Super Princess Peach, which was awesome. I also love that game. So we were really lucky in terms of 2D platformers, and that was the first one with Mario, and that's why it's number 9 on my list.
Okay, well, yeah, I also don't consider Yoshi's Island to be a Super Mario game, so it's not on my list. And I don't have any of the Game Boy games on there, and there's a reason why. Because back then, I didn't really enjoy those as much as what I was playing on the NES. Anyways, okay, so my number 9 is, where is it? Here is the sequel, actually, to Galaxy, which was Galaxy 2. And this was a better game. It was more fleshed out and everything. But again, the reason why it ranks so low is because of the platform that it was on. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, you're insane. And I am. And that's it. I really, honestly, I don't even have much I can say about both Galaxy and Galaxy 2. They were good games. They were good Mario games. I beat them both. But they were just not... They were not on the right platform. I'm sorry, but that's all I can say about that. And what's sad is that they were really innovative games too. They tried to do a lot of different things, and they were really fun. It's just it's unfortunate that they happened to be on the system that they were on. My number 8 happens to be your number 9, which is New Super Mario Brothers, and I don't really have too much I can say because you really nailed it. It was really nice to play a 2D Mario game again, and it was a very good game.
Okay, before I go my number 8, I really hope you didn't put All Stars in here. I have a
Nope,
feeling you
no,
did.
no,
Okay,
no, no,
good.
no, no.
Because I wanted to mention that we don't put compilation. All right, so my number 8 is Super Mario Sunshine. For some reason, I really, really loved that game, even though I think it's the lowest rated 3D Mario game ever. I just really loved it. I loved the visuals, like the water and the sand and the vacation style. I remember you wrote an article at the time calling it like the Nintendo Vacation or something. And I don't know, it just reminds me of that. But I really, really love the visual styles of Sunshine. I love the flood mechanic, like the fact that you could hover with it and stuff like that. And in that game there was also some classic 2D-ish levels that were really amazing to play. And like I mentioned before, it's the only 3D Mario game I ever beat, and I even went so far as to 100% it, and I had a blast doing so. That's why it's my number 8. And for me, number 7 is Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U. And that game was just just a blast. And I don't know if you managed to play it a lot, but unfortunately many people did not, because it was on the Wii U. Not many people owned the Wii U, and the Wii U never really got a 3D Mario game, so people never gave this game a chance. And it's unfortunate because it's awesome. It also boasts a fantastic multiplayer mode, and it's a blast to play with your friends. So that's why Super Mario 3D World is my number 7 spot.
So I was actually debating whether or not to put 3D World or one of the Galaxy games, but I think I had more fun with the two Galaxies than I did with 3D World. That's the only reason why it's not on my list, but I was debating between that. So anyways, my number 7, because now I'm at 7, right?
Yep.
All right, so my number 7 is Super Mario Sunshine. I basically mimic a lot of the things that you felt, except that obviously it wasn't the first one that I had beaten or anything like that. But I did like the the flood mechanic, and over time I learned to appreciate the game a lot more. I actually totally destroyed that game with the Japanese the Japanese import. I remember back then, man, I was like importing everything because it would come out just a couple of months usually before the North American release. So, and I remember, what was it, Project Number 9 or PN9 or whatever the hell it was called, from Capcom. Those were the days, man. So no, and it was a very, very fun game. And I know people are like, oh, it may not have reviewed very highly or whatever over the years, but still, like, you gotta think, this was still at a time where, platformers were really like not even on their way out. They did a lot of things in a very wise way. Flood allowed you to better control jumps, for example, which was a complaint that people had all the time. And it bought you just a couple extra seconds to readjust the camera, things like that. So it was a very innovative game for its time that I don't know if people really recall that much about. Number 6 for me is Super Mario 3D, I was going to say World, Land. This was a phenomenal game. This is actually one of my favorite games on the 3DS. And 3DS, when it's all said and done and we do like our top 10 like 3DS games of all time, it's going to be very, very hard to do that because there have been some phenomenal games. We just today we talked about Animal Crossing, right? But there's Animal Crossing. There's essentially A Link to the Past 2. You have Super Mario 3D Land. You have the great Pokemon games, and you can go on and on and on. And to be fair to everybody,
eventually,
sorry,
I plan to do my top 25 games, and even that will be hard.
Well, exactly. And this is the point I was just going to make, is that to everybody listening, I am not portable fan number 1. Steven is. And yet, even for me, this is going to be quite a challenge.
Okay, so for me at number six, and this will be a surprise to you and anybody, it's Super Mario Brothers 3. And this game, I had a blast playing as a kid. I remember getting it for Christmas and just being like the fable or whatever the word is, that the fact that you could fly. Like I was really young. Like this came out in what, 88, 89,
Yeah, something like
and I
that.
was like 4 or 5 because we never got it the same year, I believe. Maybe we got it a year or two after. And I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I couldn't believe that I could actually fly with Mario. So I had a blast with this. The reason it's so low on my list is that still to this day I find this game extremely hard, and hard to the point where I usually frustrate myself and can't get very far in it. So it's not the game that I can pick up and play and beat to this day. Like I did beat it back in the day, and I played it a lot more in Super Mario All Stars.
Hmm.
But to this day, I have some problems picking it up and playing it because of the difficulty, especially in the later levels. And I don't know why. It's just me that's insane, probably.
Yeah.
Number five, Super Mario Brothers 2. That game I can pick up to this day and have a blast with it, even though it's quite difficult too, especially if you're. I remember when it was released in the Wii U, and I was very active on Miiverse back then, and I did a few runs with that game, and I finally tried to beat the game with Mario. I always never played the game with Mario as a kid. I always played as Luigi because he can jump so high, and I always thought that Mario was like he sucked in that game. It actually turns out that he's the best character, and I found that out like 20 years after the game was released because he's just so easy to control when Luigi is like a goofball. He's like you basically,
Perfect.
very hard to control. So Super Mario Brothers 2, I just thought that game is insane. Like the fact that you can pick up a vegetable off the ground and it turns into a spaceship, and then you jump to another level with it makes no sense, and I love it. Super Mario Brothers 2 rocks.
All right. So where am I?
You
I'm at
should
number
be
five.
you should be at number 5, yeah.
Oh man. Well, this is where you're going to see like the biggest differences between us. So my number five is Super Mario Brothers 2. And why? Well, I think like a lot of people at the time, it was really different. And unlike a lot of people at the time, though, I didn't find it terrible. I just found it different. And like you, I used all the characters except for Mario. And it was really funny when I started going out with Serena. That was one of the first things. She had like an NES that was, like in their basement or whatever, the family home. And I was like, ooh, you have Mario Brothers too. And I actually went through the game and showed them like how to go and beat the game. And they were all like, her younger sister was like, you're a wizard. Like it was like the greatest thing, the greatest accomplishment in the world. So that was a really fun game, really, really unique. And there you go. And now my number 4 is Super Mario 64. I was one of those guys, I'm sorry, but I was, where I was just like, this is unbelievable. And it blew my mind. I had never experienced a fully 3D game quite like that before. And people have to understand that the Nintendo 64 was basically almost like vaporware because there was no internet or anything like that back then. And yes, the magazines were covering it, but it just seemed like it was never going to happen, especially like for those of us that were really, really excited. It depending on where you were and your access to different magazines and stuff like that, it was like one of these things where like I had been reading about it for what felt like 3 years, and I'd never seen it, never held that funky looking controller. And I was like, where's my Ultra 64, damn you? And then the Saturn comes out, and then the PlayStation comes out, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, where is this stupid thing? Like, is it ever coming out? And when it finally came out in 96, I recall going to the store, picking it up and being so happy. I was like, it's real, it's finally here. And plunking in this Super Mario 64 game that like I'd been reading about for, forever. And just being totally immersed in that world and going through it. I don't know how many times I went through that game. And
It's
that's that.
it's crazy. The first time I ever played Mario 64 was at an arcade. like in a mall, and it was a Japanese version through a VR headset.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was very weird. Like you would basically sit in a chair, you had a VR headset, and the game would be on. You would see the game there, and it was a Japanese version. I had no idea what was going on. I was still quite young back then, and I wanted that game. So I told my mom to buy the game, which I saw in the store, and I thought it was the Super NES. I thought it was Super Mario RPG, The Legend of this whatever Golden Stars. I thought that was Mario 64 because I was a young, stupid kid and I had played this game on a weird controller through a VR headset. And I thought it had to be for the Super Nintendo because, like, I didn't know what the Ultra 64 was. I didn't know anything of that because I didn't read those magazines. Anyway, that's my Mario 64 story.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Number 4 for me, I have the classic Super Mario Brothers. A classic, the first game many people ever played. Probably the game I beat the most in my lifetime. Still a game today that I can beat in 5 minutes. It's funny though, because I say I can beat it in 5 minutes, but I don't remember the last time I actually went through the game from 1 to 8. Like I usually play it and I use all the warps and I beat it fast. And I don't remember like the 5th level or the 7th level. I haven't gone the worlds. I mean, I haven't gone to those in years. Like I haven't played the game without using the warp in such a long time that I should go back and do that eventually. And for me, at number 3, I have New Super Mario Brothers U. That is the reason why I loved the Wii U so much and still do to this day when I got it, because I got it with this game, and this was the first HD Nintendo game I ever played, and it was from one of my favorite series, the Super Mario Brothers series, and it introduced me to Miiverse, and I had just such a blast with this one. In my opinion, it's the best new Super Mario Brothers game. It's so amazing, and the reason I put it ahead of the classic Super Mario Brothers series, even though deep in my heart I don't think it's superior to those games because those games meant so much to the industry, it's just the fact that this game was such a well-polished game. It was the first HD Nintendo game, and I 100%ed that game, and it was so much fun going to Miiverse and asking for people and helping people out to find those last golden medals you were missing. Like, it was just such a blast to play that game, and it had great throwback levels, like from Mario 3, the giant stage of Mario 3, and those flying levels of Mario 3 when you need to jump on enemies. It had so many nostalgia levels in there. It's just one of the best games I've ever played. Really, really enjoyed that one.
Awesome. And like I said, this is where our lists are going to be completely different. So I'm at the top 3, and this is going to be very interesting. So my number 3 is Super Mario Brothers, the original, for nostalgia reasons, for everything. I mean, it's rare, okay? It is rare that you can go back today and give someone an Atari game and it holds up. Yeah, and I'm being honest. It's very, very rare. What does that have anything to do with Super Mario Brothers? Well, people need to understand that Super Mario Brothers essentially was the killer app for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And yes, the graphics were superior to the Atari. There's no question about that. But this was still at a time when just a scrolling screen was revolutionary. Like, you have to understand that at this particular point in time when this game was released, you're talking, people were used to a single screen environment. And it just blew my mind, and it blew everyone's mind, because it was like, well, this isn't just a single screen. This is a world. You know, like we're living in some world. And I know today everybody listening to this, especially young ones, are like, well, this guy's crazy. But I can't stress this enough of how radically innovative that game was for its time, and still is. You can still give someone Super Mario Brothers today on the Wii U or any other platform that it's available on, and explain how it works. One button jumps, one button activates a run. That's it. And you know, let them die a couple of times, let them figure out, you know, how the mechanics work, and it still holds up. They will still have a good time today. And it's unbelievably rare to say that about video games from that particular point in time, because it was all new. This was all new way of designing video games. And to this day, it does hold up. It is still a very, very fun game to play, and I can't stress, like, really, this game should be on the top list of everyone's video games of all time, because it really did stand the test of time, and I think it always will. There's just something magical about that particular game. And number 2 is your number, gosh, what did you put? 6, which is what?
Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, for me, when this came out, again, this was another one, and maybe it is nostalgia, because the truth is I haven't played this one in quite some time, but it just did so many things differently yet similar. So it had taken everything that I had loved about Super Mario Brothers and went nuts with it, and it was radically different than Super Mario Brothers 2, which I liked. I'm not like everyone else who's like, oh, it was the black sheep and all this stuff. But with Super Mario Brothers 3, it was just, the raccoon tail and stuff like that. Like, it was something completely out of this world. And the graphics, I remember that. The graphics were just leaps and bounds better than anything I had thought we were ever going to see from a Mario game. And it's so funny now, talking like this as an adult now, and knowing that, like, what the game you just spoke about, Super Mario Brothers U, it's so funny, because as a kid, I never would have imagined that was even possible. Like, to me, my young mind there for Super Mario 3, I was like, well, this is as good as it gets. like this is it. It can get no better. And I remember the giant world is the one that always sticks with me, because when I had seen, like, a Goomba, like, bigger than Mario, basically, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the greatest thing ever. and yet, look at where we are now, man.
Yep. Can you guess what my number 2 is?
I'm not sure. You've left out, let's see here. You did the trio, right? You've already done the trio.
Yep.
You've done New Super Mario Brothers. No, it can't be any of those. You've done Land, and you said you didn't put Land 2, right?
No. I think it's gonna take you forever. You're missing one. It was on your list. It's Super Mario 3D Land.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. And I know you really enjoyed that one.
Oh yeah, that one I think I 100% in like 4 days. Like that game was amazing, and the 3D effect. That's something you forgot to mention. Like, playing that game in 3D is actually different than playing that game without the 3D effect. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It actually makes the game easier, but not in a bad way, because you actually feel where everything is, and it almost feels like you're in the world. It's I know I've said amazing like 7 times already, but this is truly a masterpiece of a game. And it was only possible because of the 3D of the 3DS, and it's a 3D Mario game, but it feels like a 2D Mario game. It plays like a 2D Mario game. There's a lot more action, a lot less exploration, although there is a bit of exploration if you want to find all the coins. But they're so challenging to do, and even if you do that, it unlocks a final level, and that final level is so much fun, but so frustrating because it's hard. It's very long and it's really hard to do, but man, that game, I don't know what else to say. You should really review that game at one point. That's one that so few people talk about. I don't think it gets mentioned often enough when you see top Mario games, but it's really one of the best out there. And my number 1, I believe, is the same as you. It's Super Mario World. It, for me, probably more realistically, my favorite game of all time, even though I always put A Link to the Past before at number 1. Like, Super Mario World is a game that still to this day I can hop in there and have a blast, which is why I can't wait to get my SNES Classic when it arrives in a few years. Yep. This will be awesome. Like, Super Mario World, like, it's just perfect.
Yeah, I mean that's it. That's my number one as well. And there are two games that I've essentially like put any amount of time into on my SNES Classic, which is right beside me. That says something, you know. It really does. Right beside me in my sort of studio that I sort of built here on my desk, I have a PlayStation 4 connected, I have a Switch connected, and I have a SNES Classic connected. What does that tell you? I mean, to me, that says a lot. And the first game that I jumped into was Super Mario World. That was the very first game that I tried. And then, of course, I played my Link to the Past. The Link to the Past will always be my favorite game of all time, unless something, drastic happens. But this is right there. I mean, there's no question about it for me. This is the game that we played, my brother and I, from the moment we got our SNES to the moment A Link to the Past came out. And then when A Link to the Past came out, we played those two games consecutively over and over and over again, until I don't know, whatever, like another game comes out like Super Metroid or whatever, and it's I think why like the SNES holds such a special place in my heart, and it's why I've said this multiple times already, but I really do feel as though the SNES Classic was built for me. Like there's really outside of maybe like one or two games, every single game on there is like a game that I have so much nostalgia for. It's insane. So I'm gonna leave my last topic for the next podcast, just because I really want to have a deep conversation on it, and that's that. So I hope everyone enjoyed this. And
Don't
do you
forget
want
your blast from the past?
Oh yeah. Where did I just put it? Sorry. Okay, yeah. So my blast from the past is because I'm getting hungry. My blast from the past stays in line. It is a Mario game. Which Mario game is it?
Give me a few clues here.
Okay, it's one that I was not allowed to mention. So it's one that would be considered a side series.
Okay.
And it's not Super Mario RPG because I believe I've already taken that from another one. And it's not any of the Mario Kart games because that's too easy.
Okay, so is it another RPG spin-off?
It is.
Is it from the Paper Mario or the Mario and Luigi series?
It's Paper Mario itself.
Right.
And so I picked that as my blast from the past because it's funny, like we talk a lot about Paper Mario and about the games that came out after, but it's really bizarre. Like I find with the Nintendo 64, it's like a lot of those games that came out during that generation it's not been lost to time because you'll get your Ocarina of Time, which, like everybody always mentions. You get your GoldenEye, everybody always mentions. But I find Paper Mario and Smash Brothers are the two games that have been so overshadowed over the years. Maybe it's me, maybe it's just Jarrod, but I just find that whenever anyone talks about those particular series, for Smash they always go to Melee, right?
Yeah.
And for Paper Mario, it's not so much that they go to one specific game. It's just I just don't hear people really talk a lot about Paper Mario in and of itself. And that was
for me. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
For me, the thing with Paper Mario in the 64 is that the Thousand Year Door in the GameCube is one of my in my top 10 favorite games of all time. That game is phenomenal, and that's why I believe that you said you don't hear it. I think you do, and people are saying that the Thousand Year Door is so much superior to Paper Mario. That's why I think not many people go back to that one. But I do agree that Paper Mario is a good game, really really fun game.
Yeah, and so thank you, man. Because like it's exactly the same with Smash. Like it's exactly the same. It's because the one that came out after was just so
So much better.
Yeah, exactly. But still, like we called this blast from the past on purpose, and I purposely. It's funny. I when you told me, we're gonna do top 10 Mario games, so I just started writing all the different Mario games. And then I just put 1, 2, 3, 4, and the ones that I put right away, I put Super Mario Kart, not immediately, but like out of the side series, I put Super Mario Kart 64, Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, and then I had stopped and I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? He's going to only want to do platformers, I'm sure. So then I texted you, you said yes, only platformers, and away we go. But then I put a square around Paper Mario because I was like, well, that's going to be my blast from the past, because not many people talk about that anymore, and it really is a very good game. It's just that the games that came after it was significantly better, but it's still a really, really good game, and I'm fairly confident that when, not if, but when the Nintendo 64 Classic gets released, that will be on there, and I think it would be a fun one to revisit. And yes, maybe it hasn't aged as well, but I'm fairly confident that that I'll be pleasantly surprised with that. So anyways, it's just, for those that don't know, it's a follow-up to Super Mario RPG, sort of, and it basically set the stage for what would become the Paper Mario sub-series of role-playing games, and it's a really, really fun game.
Yeah, it just sucks that, in my opinion, we only had two Paper
Yeah.
Mario games, because after that, after the Thousand Year Door, they haven't given us a Paper Mario game ever. Like Super Paper Mario on the Wii, I don't understand, and Paper Mario Color Splash on Wii U. That's funny because in a podcast we did last year, I mentioned that there was only like a few games in the year, and someone called me out in the comment section telling me that I forgot Color Splash, and you even said that you're right, he did, but I did not forget Color Splash. It's just I do not consider that game to be a great game. So I hope and I know that it will never happen, that the Paper Mario series actually comes back in the classic RPG way, but I don't think we'll ever see that.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because they sort of shifted that into the Mario and Luigi series. So I think that's pretty much that.
Yeah,
So
you're right, because 2 years ago they made a Mario Luigi Paper Mario game.
yep. Yeah, exactly. So I think, like, personally, I think that's that. But anyway. All right. That's it. I've done so much talking. It's your turn to wrap us up.
All right, guys, thanks for listening to this fantastic podcast. As a reminder, we do this every 2 weeks. We alternate from Canadian Gamers or Nintendo Fanboyz. We're also on iTunes and other podcast services. So hit us up, rather. Don't forget, leave a comment and whatnot. We really enjoyed this, so hopefully next time we'll do Canadian Gamers, and that's it.